Manifest Health, Your Guide to the Inside. Preface. Have you ever known something so deep it pierced your core? So sure of its existence that you simply accepted it would one day appear? This book is that thing for me. When I was young, I used to write and visualize a handbook for living life. Not a novel, not a memoir, a manual. As a young adult, I carried index cards and wrote notes in the smallest handwriting you've ever seen, and I still have them. When people asked what I was doing, I told them, I'm writing a book. They would smile and ask, what's it called? I didn't know. All I could say was, it will be a user's manual for the human being. That's the thread that's run through my entire life. But knowing something and living it are two very different things. For decades, I shoved the call aside. I buried it beneath the weight of school and the military, work, marriage. Life stacked itself on my chest and I let it, because that's what you do. You soldier on. But here's the thing. Burying your purpose is like burying a landmine. It doesn't disappear. It waits and ticks, and when it finally explodes, it will take part of you with it. For me, the explosion was COVID. Working in the COVID ICU was like standing in the pits of hell. Machines beeping, people gasping for air, families begging to visit loved ones. Protocols dictated our every move, and it hit me. This system was not healing anyone. It wasn't even trying. It was handing out Band-Aids for bullet holes, masquerading as medicine. It was in those moments, masked, exhausted, death all around me, that the last layer of denial peeled off. That was my breaking point. My call, no longer a whisper, but a scream that rattled my walls from the inside out. Here's the ugly truth. I spent years refusing that call. I told myself I was too busy and too tired, too focused on real work. I convinced myself that I had time. And I did what most people do. I hid in the safety of my routine. If you're hearing this, it's because somewhere inside you already know this. You feel the stir, the itch, the whisper, and you've been avoiding it. But refusing the call doesn't make it go away. It rots you from the inside out. It steals your life while convincing you that you're living. It invaded my sleep, demolished my marriage, and turned me into someone I could no longer recognize. I'm not here to comfort you, and I'm not here to hand you another pill or another affirmation or another escape. I'm here to shove a mirror in your face and ask, will you keep treading the waters in denial? Or will you answer the call before the ICU moment comes for you? Because it will. One way or another, life will strip you bare. And if you wait too long, you may not get the chance to come back. And this isn't just a story. It's a warning. It's a guide. And if you let it, it will show you a way out. And the way out is in. You have to go inside yourself because the answers you seek are not outside of you. But you need to know how to recognize them when you see them. We are all born with a design. You can call it destiny, purpose, blueprint, a soul contract. It doesn't matter which word you pick because the truth is the same. You arrived here carrying something that only you could carry, and deep down, you know it. Even if you don't admit it out loud, even if you've drowned it in distraction, there's a flicker that lives in your gut, a knowing that whispers, you're here for more than this. The problem is life trains it out of us. From the moment you can walk and talk, you're handed coloring books with the lines already drawn. You're told to stay inside of them. That's what makes you a good kid. And later, it's what makes you a responsible adult. And so you learn to obey the lines. Sit down, stand up, pay attention, go to work, climb the ladder, collect the paycheck, Die quietly. That's the script. Most people spend their entire lives reading from it, never questioning who wrote it. But the call doesn't read scripts. It doesn't care about your GPA, your resume, your bank account, or your white picket fence. The call doesn't give a damn about your excuses. It's primal. It's older than your name, older than your body, older than the world you were born into. It's the thread of source tugging on you, reminding you that you are not here to be a placeholder in someone else's design. And here's the catch. The call isn't always loud. Most of the time it's faint, like a radio station you can almost hear through the static. Sometimes it feels like an itch you can't scratch or an ache in your chest, the kind that makes you look around and wonder if you're missing your whole damn life. That was me. I shoved it aside and told myself I'd get to it later. I let school and service and work pile on top of it like dirt over buried treasure. Because that's what we do. We bury the call. We try to silence it with ambition, numb it with busyness, drown it in obligation. We let the world convince us that survival is enough. And for a while, we believe it. But here's what no one tells you. Ignoring the call doesn't kill it. It festers. It waits, pushes against your frame. It leaks into your dreams, gnaws at the back of your mind when you're trying to play it safe. And if you don't answer it, it'll come for you in ways you don't expect. Through illness, through loss, through the slow corrosion of your soul. That's what the call does. It will not let you rest until you face it. Most of us hear it early. We feel it tugging at us when we're still young, still raw, before the world has fully carved us into shape. But instead of following it, we build walls around it. We smother it with logic, with discipline, with duty. We trade it for what feels safer. The script. My script was the army. I enlisted, I studied, I performed. The military taught me to survive, to obey, to focus on the mission, even when every cell of my body wanted to run the other way. Later, it was physical therapy, another mission, to heal others, mend what was broken, to serve through science. I threw myself into it like it was the reason I was alive. And in some ways it was. Healing is in my bones. Service is in my DNA. But the truth, it wasn't the call. Not the original one. It was duty. It was necessary. And it was training. It was the mandatory detour to the thing I was born to do. Because the call terrified me. You can hide behind work. You can hide behind the respect, the paycheck, the titles, and the diplomas that prove to everyone else that you're worth something. You can hide behind marriage and family, caregiving, the endless demands of life and say, not yet, not now, maybe someday. But here's what no one tells you. Duty without alignment corrodes you. Slowly, silently. It wears you down in ways you don't see until one day you wake up and realize you've been living someone else's life. The refusal took decades from me. Decades of believing the whisper could wait. I played by the rules. I carried the weight. I convinced myself that burying the call was noble, that it was selfless, that it was responsible. But refusing the call isn't noble. It's cowardice wrapped in routine. I had convinced myself that everything happens for a reason and in its own time. That's how to procrastinate if you really want to know. You build it into your design and then pretend it was there all along. And the longer you refuse, the harder the universe pushes back. The reality is that it is much easier to just answer the call when it comes, but who can tell you how to do that when we are all busy doing what we are told? In the COVID ICU, we were doing what we were told, and we thought we were being told to save lives. And on the surface, we were trying. But when we stepped back and looked, we noticed that What we were being told was no longer aligned with saving lives. If you want the pretty version, you won't find it here. There's nothing pretty about watching someone say goodbye to their family on an iPad. Deafening is the sound of a man's phone ringing 30 minutes after he was placed on a ventilator. It was hell, not a metaphorical hell, a literal one. Bodies lying limp in beds, our faces behind masks, behind shields, behind exhaustion, behind wide eyes filled with terror, and the dying, coming to work every day looking at the board to see who made it through the night. That's not medicine. That's not healing. That was a factory of suffering, and we were the assembly line, moving methodically from one room to the next, flipping them over twice a day to see if they breathed better. And I saw it for what it was, a system that doesn't work, doesn't save. A system built to keep people patched together just enough to keep them coming back. They called it health care. I called it wealth care. A list of check boxes to tick off so they could collect the COVID money at the end. That's where the last excuse disintegrated. I couldn't unsee it, couldn't unknow it. I realized I'd spent years learning what not to do, and the moment I learned the system I served was not righteous, that my work was not part of something bigger, something serving the greater good, was the moment I decided I was done. That's the thing about breaking points. They don't ask your permission. They don't wait until you're ready. They just show up like a thief in the night, kick the door off the hinges, and set fire to the life you've been hiding in. And you either run through the flames or you burn down where you stand. So when I saw the fire this time, I did not hesitate. The day I wrote my resignation was the day I achieved complete alignment. Now here's the part you won't want to hear. The call isn't polite. It doesn't knock gently at your door, wait for you to finish your coffee, and then hand you a roadmap. It claws at you, rips through the walls you've built, leaves you naked in the rubble. You'll try to outrun it. Everyone does. You'll drown yourself in work, relationships, booze, endless scrolling, in the fake comfort of routines that keep you numb but never alive. But the call doesn't care about your distractions. It waits. Patient, merciless, unrelenting. And when it catches you, and it always does, it won't ask if you're ready. It will burn down what you thought was your life and dare you to find out if you have the guts to step into what's next. Most people don't. They grab the fire extinguisher, douse the flames, rebuild the same damn prison and call it safety. But if you're still with me, you're not most people. The question is, when the match drops, when the fire roars, when the walls crack, will you run through the flames or will you burn to the ground? Will you go or will you wait? The refusal was practical, respectable, even praised. Look how much she can handle. We clap for people who carry more than they should, as if loading a person with bricks is a measure of their worth. We hand each other medals for surviving things we weren't meant to endure. We normalize it so thoroughly that when the call shows up, we call it selfish, irresponsible, unrealistic. We say, who do you think you are? You can't do that. But you can do that. In fact, you are the only one who can do that. That's what we're here for, because you're the only person who can live your life from the inside. So you must answer the call, because it's only you that hears it. And the call doesn't negotiate. It doesn't send calendar invites. It scratches at the back of your throat when you say the wrong things, and it tightens your chest when someone asks you to be smaller. It wakes you up at 3:17 a.m. with a phrase you can't forget and a pressure you can't ignore. But I ignored it. I built schedules so tight there was no air between the blocks. I collected credentials to quiet the animal in me that wanted to run. I made myself useful so I wouldn't have to be truthful. And then the ICU. Let me say the ugly part out loud. I watched good people get ground up by a system that calls itself care. I watched protocols become a religion. I watched colleagues cry in bathrooms and wash their faces and go back because that's what heroes do. I watched families say goodbye on screens. I watched bodies give up. Maybe you're there. Maybe your ledger is red and you're still pretending it's black. Maybe you tell yourself you'll get through this quarter, this launch, this school year, this pregnancy, this divorce, this chemo, this election, this whatever. And then you'll answer. I told myself the same. I promised myself I'd listen when the storm passed. The storm is not going to pass. It's waiting for you to stop hiding under the table. I used to think the call was about talent, this mystical thing only special people get, but it's not. It's design. We're all born with one. Most of us misplace it under the weight of being polite. We color inside the lines till the lines become a fence. We forget that the picture we were handed was a suggestion, not a sentence. What if the thing you're calling stability is a well-decorated cage? What if what you're calling sacrifice is submission? What if the thing you're calling loyalty is fear? Listen, I'm not here to scold you. I'm here to hand you a match, not to burn it down, but to see it clearly. Strike it and look around. Look at the room you're in. Look at the contracts you've made with people, jobs, versions of yourself that you've outgrown. Look at the altar where you lay your time every day. Who is the God? Does it have a heartbeat? Does it make you more alive, or does it harvest you? When I finally let myself look, I found a simple, brutal truth. The life I said I wanted, freedom to write, to heal at the root, to live in integrity with what I know, is incompatible with the life I was maintaining. Not inconvenient, incompatible. It's like trying to grow a tree in a jar. You cannot become who you're meant to be and keep everything you built to avoid it. Well, maybe you feel a little sick hearing that. Good. That nausea is honesty unclenching. It's your body refusing to collude with your denial. Pay attention to what clenches when you tell yourself that the status quo is fine. Pay attention to what softens when you imagine leaving. The body tells the truth long before the mouth does. And here's another ugly truth. The call will cost you. It will cost you performance that you can brag about and plans that impress strangers, approval from people who only know how to love you when you're useful to them, the pain you've made a home in because the chaos you know can start to feel like safety. Refusal costs your mornings, your softness, your breath, your sleep, your humor, your patience, your ability to smell rain and taste fruit and be moved by music in the middle of an ordinary Tuesday. Refusal costs your life in installments so small you hardly notice till the bill arrives and you're the one who's bankrupt. The call is not asking you to jump off a cliff without checking the wind. It's asking you to stop lying about the ground you're standing on. So how will you recognize refusal? It's a person with a key in their pocket, leaning against a locked door, telling everyone it won't open. And answering the call? It's the same person reaching into their pocket and noticing the key. The key is not certainty. The key is consent. Consent to be honest about what you know. Consent to stop decorating the cage. Consent to open a door when you cannot guarantee what's behind it. Consent to the truth you carried as a child when you could still trust your thoughts. No promises, just purpose. You want a promise? Here's mine. The call contains the purpose, and the purpose reveals the path. Not all of it up front. That's not how this works. But enough for the next step, and then the next. You won't get a map. You'll get a compass. Use it and follow the path as it unfolds in front of you. You might be thinking this is too dramatic, that you're fine, your life is good enough, and maybe it is. I hope it is. But if it's not, you already know. You knew before you opened this book. You knew when you read the first page and something flared behind your breastbone. You knew when I said landmine and you remembered the quiet ticking under the surface. I'm not here to yank you by the hair into a new life. I'm here to sit on the floor with you while the old one finishes dying, and then point to the door that you already see. Some nights in the ICU, I would stand at the window between rooms and watch the chests of the patients rise and fall, listen to the sound of the machines that kept them alive, and wonder if they would have lived differently if they had known these would be their last days. I know I would have if I were in their place. If you are waiting for permission, here it is. You are allowed to answer the call. You're allowed to disappoint people you had to pretend to be someone else for. You are allowed to put down a load that was never yours. You are allowed to choose a life that matches the shape of your soul, even if it costs you a life that photographs better. You're allowed to say, I'm not doing this anymore. You need to make a decision, not a declaration shouted into the void with a fist in the air. A quiet, precise yes spoken to the center of your chest. A yes that is paid in actions you can measure. A yes that's repeated tomorrow and the day after. A yes that becomes a key. But before we turn the page, I want you to promise one thing. Don't promise me, promise yourself that if you recognize your life in these sentences, if you taste even a drop of the fear and relief that comes with telling the truth, you will not let this moment pass. You will not highlight it, nod, and return to the performance. Promise that you will allow the match to burn long enough to see the room. Promise that you will not rebuild the same prison with prettier furniture. Promise that when the door cracks even a little, you'll put your foot in it. The call is not out there. It's waiting where it has been, under your sternum, behind your breath, at the hinge between who you were told to be and who you are. You don't have to blow up your life tonight. You do have to stop lying about it. When you're ready, I will be here waiting for you. We will listen for the sound the truth makes when it taps the inside of your rib cage. We will follow it until it points and name it what it is. The call. Turn the page.